Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I want to talk to you about the best builds for Warlock in patch 10.2. Destro, Demo, Affliction, Mythic Plus, single target, Cleave, rating, basically all of that. I've been getting a lot of questions about what builds are good. Is 2-minute Demo best? Is Grand Warlock coming back? Where is Destro at? How good is Aff? Today, I want to look at the best builds, talk about where they're good, where they're bad, where they're seeing play, and why they've basically become the best builds. Like always, week course, add-ons, links to Twitch and Discord down below if you want them. At the same time, links to these builds down below in the video description. And yeah, let's jump right on into it. All right, so starting off here with Affliction, there are 3 builds. Now, for each spec, there's 3 to 4. Demo's a bit more intricate when it comes to like niche talents and things, but Aff has been pretty similar for the past, honestly, few patches, more or less, depending on talent builds and things you're doing in plus versus rating and single target. This build here is going to be, it's more or less deemed like probably the best single target build that Aff has. Fights like Volcaros, I guess Igira with Spear Cleave and things that would be a huge part of heroic and lower, all that stuff. It's this build, the build we played for a long time. Plus the fact that we're now playing Soul Rot, we've been playing it for a while, but Soul Eater's Gluttony, which syncs your Soul Rot being half a minute with the CDR to your Vile Taint, which is every half a minute, and with your tier bonus giving you that large damage amp for your next 3 Raptures whenever you cast Soul Rot. It gives you a pretty strong damage profile every half a minute. You have single target elements and talents like Dread Touch, Xavius's Gambit, also Creeping Death, Haunt, Crescendo, Dark Lair. Same Aff we've been playing for a long time. Not much has really changed there when it comes to single target. Pathing through Soul Swap here, just honestly for a cheaper way to get to Withering Bolt, instead of going through 2 points in ID, 1 point in Pandemic Invocation, and all of that. Now, this build can still be used in a lot of Cleave-based settings where you still want a strong single target profile, but also AoE. On fights like Tindral, for example, on fights like Gnarlroot, for example, right? A way to do that is to just do this. So you're going to end up pulling 2 points out of Dark Virtuosity, and 2 points out of, I guess 1 out of Pandemic Invocation, 1 out of Soul Swap, and putting 2 in Soul Flame, looking like this, shifting to the single target Cleave build. 2 points from here go 1, 2, and these 2 points here both go into Soul Flame, leading into Withering Bolt still, giving you that single target profile if you want a bit more of it, at least. And you have the option of casting Seed with So in mass AoE on times like Gnarlroot, on times like on Tindral, on times where you just have a lot of ads running in, for example, on Laridar, right? When they die, they explode with Soul Flame. But at the same time, still maintaining most of these single target elements in Dread Touch, Haunt, you got your Soul Rot window with Vile Taint every half a minute still, Crescendo, Creeping Death, Xavius's Gambit. This build encapsulates the most amount of single targets you can, while also getting the most amount of AoE you can without really, like hurting one of the other aspects too much. It's a pretty well-rounded build, just Aff's a bit, subpar compared to like Demo when it comes to stat Cleave and things, which can also do basically this in a Demo profile. But this is where we've landed for a handful of fights this year, like I said, in testing on PTR, Gnarlroot, Tindral, other like stacked AoE fights where you want to spam Seed sometimes, but at the same time also just want to spam Rapture and single target. You had the best of both worlds. And keep in mind, your 2-piece 4-pieces tier increases Rapture damage or Seed of Corruption damage whenever you cast Soul Rot, being half a minute cooldown due to Gluttony, and it does indeed increase every single seed from the seeds. So there's that. Now, when it comes to M+, this is the build that I've seen most playing. I haven't played it a whole lot this patch, a couple of keys here and there, like Everbloom. The aura buff, the Aff that came in about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, feels pretty good. It brings massive AoE via Seed, Soul Flame, and unsurprisingly, Doom Blossom being buffed as well, aura buff wise, right? The issue here, it brings okay single target. It's not as good as Demonology, probably not even as good as Destro, because you're sort of having to choose like, all right, I want Doom Blossom for AoE, or I want Dread Touch. And that's the problem with Aff, I feel like, in Plus, is that, number one, Demo's just better. Unfortunately, I'd rather have Aff be better in Plus, but Demo's profile, good single target, stat Cleave, Meat Grinder, Demonic Strength's good in AoE, all that stuff. They're universally applicable talents for Demo, right? Aff has some, but at the same time, you're playing Siphon Life over AC and Plus because you want more single target, you're spamming Seed, but also you're playing Doom Blossom for the AoE over Dread Touch. And I feel like if you're basically almost in any setting where you're trying to play Dread Touch and Plus, Aff, just play Demo. Just better. Like, if you want to do it for fun, that's fine. If you're playing Dread Touch and Plus, Aff, just play Demonology. Honestly, I hate to say it, but it's just the truth, right? If you want mass AoE, though, this is the build. You're playing Doom Blossom, Haunt for a little bit of single target elements, Dark Lair, Soul Rot, and Gluttony. Now, I have seen some people playing no points in Crescendo and putting it down here in Dark Harvest, which is interesting, gives you a faster haste crit amp during your Soul Rot cast every half a minute, which is nice with Vitality and Sinking and Seed spam. But it probably is more or less just likely a Fortify versus Tyrannical angle, single target versus AoE. And that's sort of that. I've seen some builds playing around with something like this as well. Not even playing Haunt and playing Wrath, which is good in a lot of settings, but I think you really want Haunt because, like I said, it's a Doom Blossom versus Dread Touch world. You're choosing single target or AoE, and you don't really want to give up too much here, right? So I would likely start here if I was going to do like AF in Mythic Plus and feel out like Dark Harvest versus Crescendo. But honestly, I think they're probably both pretty close. Might be a Tyrannical versus Fortified angle. Links to all these builds down below if you want them. Now, moving on to Destruction here. Destro is in a pretty subpar spot when it comes to Mythic Plus, even rating and things in patch 10.2. It was buffed as well about a week and a half ago with AF, getting a 6% aura buff, but for the most part, it's still in an awkward spot. Now, on a positive note, not a whole lot really changed in single target from last patch, barring not playing Channel Demon Fire anymore and Raging. You're playing just Shadowburn and Conflagration of Chaos. You're still playing the same elements down here, outside of your tier bonus working around Dimensional Rift, right? So you're still playing, your Infernal, Crashing Chaos, with Grand Warlock's design, still playing a Point and Burned Ashes, still playing Ritual of Ruin, Embers, you're playing Chaosbringer, the new Madness or whatever, and you're playing Dimensional Rift over Chaos Incarnate because this is now your tier bonus. It works around Dimensional Rift for Destro. This is the 2-minute build here. Now, if you're playing a fight with an odd kill time or different kill time, let's say, where you want to play a 3-minute build, all you do is pull a point out of this and put it over here and burn to ashes, and it literally gives you the 3-minute build. So a fight, for example, like last year in Aberrus, the first boss, Kazara, would die in about 2.5 minutes, give or take, I believe, in farm. So a build like this, with the 2-minute build, where you get 2 Infernals, was really strong, because you would Infernal at, basically 0 and 2, then Infernal expires, Crashing is over at 2:30, and the boss is dead at 2:30. A build like this, though, where it's a 3-minute build, you're going to get 1 Infernal on pull, and then it'll still be on cooldown when the boss dies. And to a similar extent, a fight that dies, around the where you can get more value out of a 3-minute build versus 2, so on and so forth. It just depends on the fight duration, damage profiles, and all that. But besides that, it's the same thing. You're casting Chaos Bolts, Conflagrates, all that. You're not playing CDF this tier. You're playing Conflagration, and that is the gist of Destro, basically in single target. Now, when it comes to Destro Cleave, honestly, not a whole lot really changes here either. This is the 2-minute single target build here. Swapping into Cleave, all you really do, you can play Havoc or Mayhem here. I opt towards Havoc most of the time, but all you're really doing is pulling points out of Shadowburn, Conflagration of Chaos, and going 1, 2 and rolling Havoc, and then 1 over here and improved Immolate, and that is basically the difference. You're grabbing the big rolling Havoc Cleave value whenever you cast a spell through Havoc. You gain a stacking damage increase. So if you're playing Madness, there is a higher high end. If it procs back to back to back, you can chain this max stack much longer than you can with Havoc, but at the same time, a lower low end. If it doesn't proc at the right time or proc at all, you're going to Cleave by playing a single target spec. Havoc, more consistent, not as high of a high end, just more consistent. It won't proc back to back, it's a baseline cooldown, but both do indeed work with rolling Havoc, and this brings you a good bit of Cleave on a fight like Council of Dreams, for example, in Mirdasil. Same thing here. These build supplies. You want 2-minute build, play this. You want 3-minute build, just do this, and you're good to go for the Cleave build. Now, when it comes to Mythic Plus for Destruction, this is where things get interesting. So this is one of the more played builds at this point in Plus. If you've played Destro for a while, you'll notice one big thing here. Cataclysm is seeing a decent bit of play over Inferno in certain builds. Some builds are still playing Inferno, but one of the big changes to Destro this tier is Grand Warlock's design, which is over here, is now a basic flat cooldown reduction. It's no longer whenever you spend shards, your Infernals reduce more based on the number of shards spent. It is literally a flat cooldown reduction, 2-minute Infernal. One thing that made Destro really good in Plus, think back to like Brackenhide Hollow, big AoE dungeons, you would spam Rain of Fire so much, a good bit due to Inferno giving you more shard gen, which meant more Rain of Fires. It was a vicious cycle of more Rain of Fires, more Infernals. Your Inferno was a minute long in mass sustained AoE for a decent bit because of the shard gen from Inferno fueling that vicious cycle, right? But that CDR is gone now. It's a flat CDR. So that's a decent hit to Rain of Fire, or I guess Inferno in mass AoE. Cat at the same time. Honestly, I mean, everyone wants to play Cat in the first place. Mythic Plus is Destro. It should be baseline. I talked about this a million times, either way. But people are playing Kata now for a handful of reasons. It feels harder to play. Obviously, Inferno's been devalued. It gives you that snap on demand, apply multiple immolates when a pack is pulled, similar to Vitality for AF. It's massive quality of life for Destro. Should it still be baseline? Yes, but hey, if you like Kata, rejoice, it's being played in some builds. Now, outside of that, pretty similar to other things, honestly. Now, like you're still playing Scalding Flame, all this stuff here, Backlash, yada, yada, yada. When it comes to being down here, the 2-minute build has seen some play, but I don't really think it's worth it a good bit of the time. The 2-minute build looks a bit like this, where you build your Infernal like this. You pull these points here. You play like this, and you play basically into Chaosbringer. Now, the problem with this build and our tier bonuses tier is that you can't get access to Dimensional Rift unless you pull one of these 2 nodes here. Pulling Avatar means you get it, but you lose your Purple Infernals, your stuns, big part of your AoE. Pulling your 2-minute Infernal means you get Avatar, but no 2-minute Infernal, which devalues Crashing Chaos and your Infernal. It's not a good spot to be in. It's a problem since PTR, but it is what it is. So most of the builds have shifted towards playing 3-minute Infernal again, which looks a lot. It looks basically like this. Now, I've seen this build played a bit more in Fort Weeks with like Embers and Power Overwhelming, and I've seen a bit of a shift towards this build, playing Burn to Ashes. I've seen double burn. I've seen 1 burn, 1 Dialogue Embers on more tyrannical based weeks. I haven't played this build myself yet, but I'm actually excited to in Plus. So Destro, I mean, it's not very good in Plus compared to the Demo in general, but having access to Kata again, plus like possibly Burn to Ashes, some single target elements, or double burn, or like just more AoE and Power Overwhelming and Dialogue Embers, actually sounds pretty fun. You still get that Cleave profile with Havoc, Pandemonium, all that. Kata feels good again. Is it going to beat Demo? No. Is it going to beat Aff in burst AoE? Hell no. Probably in general, also no. But at the same time, putting aside the fact that you can't play 2-minute Infernal anymore, really in a competitive setting with your tier bonus, this build is intriguing, and so a mix of this build, whatever you play, is intriguing, and I want to give it a shot in Plus. Haven't done it yet, but this is what I've seen. It looks to actually be pretty decent. So, moving on to Demonology. Now, Demo has a handful of builds here. They're all relatively similar. Now, I'm going to hit on talent nodes and things that might change, and I'll go from there. So, this is the Naked Tyrant build. We're going to ignore this one. This is a build I play for a boss. Naked Tyrant. So, Naked Tyrant means that you're not playing Soulbound Tyrant, you're not playing Grand Warlocks or Dream Tyranny. It's just been nerfed too much. I made a whole video on it back a few weeks ago. Watch that if you want. I'm not going to get into it, but either way. So this is going to be your single target Naked Tyrant build. Number one, the first question, is Spiteful Recon worth it in single target? The answer is yes, it is very good. Besides that, you're playing single target elements in Immutable Hatred, Imp Mother, 2 points there. You're playing Sack Souls, you're playing Soul Strike or Revile Fiend, and Fell Invocation. Fell Sunder, Imperator, very good talent here, and just normal single target elements, right? Demonic Strength, same thing for a while. This build, you will hold your Tyrant for every Grimoire Felguard, being a 2-minute cooldown versus a 1.5, barring some weird scenario you're in. And besides that, same thing, casting Dogs at on cooldown, casting 3-shard Handy Gul'dans, building Tyrants, all the same. That's basically it. Now, when it comes to the Naked Cleave build, not a whole lot really shifts here. If you look over here, these points are moving. So here's the single target build, and here is the Cleave build. So you're pulling basically a point in Shadow's Bite to grab a point in a Malefic Impact. You're also putting a point, I guess you're basically shifting points into Dreadlash, Malefic Impact, and Implosion, heading into the Cleave build here. Now, this build, Spiteful Recon does buff both single target and AoE. This build's played in fights, let's say, for example, there's 2 different versions of this. If you want a bit more of a Cleave-based, or a bit more of a, I guess you could say a bit more of a Cleave-based element in a sense, you can play this build, right? This build here has Fell Sunder, and this build has Malefic Impact. More of a, like, ads are consistently part of this fight. They're going to be here the whole time. I'm cleaving them with Malefic Impact for the majority of the fights. I'm getting good Fell Sunder value. You're not playing Sack Souls here. If you want a Cleave profile, but a bit more single target focus for a fight like Gnarlroot, or something like that, where there's ads present at times, but also single target, you can shift towards this Cleave build here called Naked Cleave to Sack Souls. This build incorporates 2 points in Sack Souls, like we said, for that more single target focus. You still have Implosion here, you still have elements like Demonic Strength, still have the Soul Strike with Cleave, still playing, I guess, Imp Mother, which can lead to more Implosion value. Still playing points in Imperator and things. Like we said, compared to the more sustained Cleave-based build, not playing a point here in Fell Sunder, and not playing a point here in Malefic Impact. This has more become like the generally accepted Cleave single target-esque build in raiding, similar to how like Aff has its Dread Touch build with Seed and Sow and Soul Flame. This has become, I guess, the more accepted build when it comes to Cleave. So I'm gonna put this one down below, put both down below, but honestly this one's probably a bit more applicable in most raid settings, like Gnarlroot and things like that. And the last build here, we have the Naked Tyrant Mythic Plus build. So I will say right now, I have been playing Immutable Hatred every week in this build. I started playing like week 2, honestly. Zyra mentioned it a bit as well. Guillotine is fine if you want to play it in 4 weeks or play it wherever. They're both honestly fine. It's a bit more single target focus damage versus a bit more AoE. I feel like Demonology already has just really good AoE baseline in its profile with Soul Strike Cleave, Demonic Strength Cleave, Veilstorm Cleave, Grimoire Felguard Cleave, Felguard Cleave, Dogs, Implosion, Imp Gang Boss, Spiteful Recon, Hand of Gul'dan Cleave. Your whole profile just cleaves in a very good manner, right? Plus your 2-piece, 4-piece gives good damage. It's not that Guillotine's irrelevant. It just feels a bit redundant at times. It's a small ground-placed effect where a tank pulls out of it. At the same time, it's on the GCD, so yep, you're stopping your Hand of Gul'dan cast or your Implosion cast or whatever to cast this ability that does okay damage. I think it's fine, but I've just been playing, honestly, Immutable Hatred, where it brings that prio damage basically in single target or in a, even like a pack, trash pack, right? Hitting one mob will still do a bit more fun with that mob. Honestly, it's still been a really strong AoE profile. I've played this build here. You can opt to play bombers if you want, if you don't like strength, but the problem with bombers, I feel like, is if you're playing bombers, you need to find a point to put into Shadow Invocation as well. So at that point, the question is, what do you pull? It might be Malefic Impact. Actually, it wouldn't even be, because you could pull this, I guess. But the problem is, like, strength just better when it comes to like raw damage and single target. Bombers is basically a half-minute cooldown compared to 1 with no shard cost, but strength is just better overall. This is where I've been, and plus, if you want to change talents, I'd opt to say Guillotine over Hatred on certain weeks or both weeks, whatever. But I played Hatred. My single target is good. My AoE is still very, very strong. And Demonology in general is just strong and plus right now. It's a good spec in dungeons, even in raiding. That big stack, that big stack cleave profile, single target elements, strength being universally applicable, most of your spells being good in single target as well as AoE, just makes Demo a naked Tyrant Demo, to me at least, an awkward spec to play, with it being a very underwhelming cooldown based spec, but also just well rounded with all your abilities just doing a lot of damage. So we'll have the links to all these builds down below for Demo, Destro, and Aff, but yeah, that's that. So thanks for watching, guys. That wraps it up. If you have any questions about, I guess, Demo, Destro, or Aff and raiding, Mythic Plus, AoE, talent-wise, or whatever, hopefully this video answers those questions for you. Like I said, links to all the builds down below in the description if you want them. And I apologize for the video being a week or so late. I've just been busy, IRL, a lot of things, all that going on. But I have this video coming out today, obviously, and a few more coming down the line in the next few days. I'm curious to see if 10.25 brings any kind of Warlock changes. I haven't really looked at the PTR at all for 10.25. Just been busy raiding and stuff, doing plus with the new patch coming out. But War Within is likely about, I'd say, 8-9 months away, and I'm hoping for some changes before then. If we don't get them, well, it might be a cold winter. But honestly, in the end, Demo's still good and plus. It's very good. Close to being meta, if not meta. And honestly, even if it feels bad to play, at least to me personally, if the damage is there, go play it. So, all that being said, if you guys have any questions, put them down below in the comment section. I'll be sure to check them out. At the same time, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons for in the video. Like always, for all support on Patreon, guys, thank you a million times. I really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below. And I just really appreciate it. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing for you guys, and just thank you for all the support. Oh, and also, Week Wars and add-ons down below in the description if you want them. So, yeah. I was hoping for a little more when it came to the Destro and Aff buffs we got a few weeks ago, but I guess like 2 weeks ago at this point. But unfortunately, not much really changed. They're not... Destro and Aff aren't as bad as they seem. It's just that Demo's good. Good and plus, obviously, and pretty decent in the raid. And when you have, like, a stacked... Single target but stacked cleave profile, and most of the fights this raid tier are a single target or stacked cleave profile, you need one more Warlock in the raid. And that lock's probably going to be playing Demonology on most fights. At this point, you're playing Demonology on Council, probably, because, well, that's something. So... we'll see where it goes. I'll keep you all in the loop, but fingers crossed some changes coming next few weeks in PTR, 10.25, and we'll go from there. So, all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, hit the like and sub buttons below. Helps out a ton, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.